Two good games in a row for Jules. Do you like the development you're seeing with him?
I absolutely love Jules. He's a fiery competitor. You always know going into the game. Some players you don't always know, but with Jules, you always know what you're going to get. He's just a incredibly spirited competitor, and he's going to fight hard defensively. He's going to make some shots. Does he make some mistakes? You know, he likes to put his head down some and try to get to the rim, and every now and then he makes some mistakes, but he's just he's a bulldog. He's going to compete. He's going to play hard. You never have a lack of understanding of knowing what you're going to get with him. Plus, I love him. Like at timeouts, he's sitting on the edge of his chair. He's up. He's ready, and he's going to have a great career here at UCLA.
Is that the next step for him? You alluded to as kind of playing a little bit more within himself, as far as not having the turnovers.
He's got to cut down on some of that, but I'd rather him play fast and aggressively than back on his heels. But he's got to cut his turnovers down. He's got a few too many turnovers, but I just love his aggressive nature. And he's very much, been a head coach for a long time. He's very much my kind of guy, the type of player that I like to recruit. And he's just tough. He's aggressive. And again, you know what you're going to get with him.
When you look at him, David, do you like kind of the future of the backcourt here? Do you like it's in good hands?
I like those two a lot. You know, they're very different types of players, but both are incredible young guys and good guys, and they both work really hard. So, you know, they're very different. David, much more of a shooter and just a very deadly shooter and can really make shots. And plus, you know, David has been thrown into a kind of a tough role with Tiger's injury, because David is much more of a two, and now he's become kind of a combo guy, and that's been a hard adjustment for him. But yeah, both those guys are going to have great careers.
Coach, do you think some of Jules' adjustment here in his freshman year stem from him playing on the AAU circuit in high school? Stuff like, you know, just driving, putting his head down and just driving.
I don't know, but he's just, again, I like his ability to drive, but sometimes he gets kind of blinders on, where once he makes the decision to drive, he's going. And three guys might converge on him, and maybe he's got a guy open in the corner, but he just gets his eyes set to go to the rim. But again, I think both those guys are going to be they're going to have hopefully good months for us the remaining month, and I think both those guys will have great careers here, because they're both workers. They both like to listen. They both want to be coached, and so both those guys are going to have good careers.
How do you sort of get someone who's used to driving to score, try to get them to maybe drive to create for other players?
Well, that's a good question. I think some of it is feel, just some of it is kind of basketball IQ and kind of feel for the game. So I think with Jules, it's just a matter of growing into that some. He's more of a driver, slasher. I'm going to get to the rim. I'm going to get fouled. Sometimes, again, if guys converge on him, he's got to be able to see that, feel that. So it's a little bit of a feel thing, and I think he can gain some of that just as he gains some experience at this level.
Have you been happy with the player development component of what you've been able to do with these guys, given that it's a young team, but you are trying to win, you know, on a nightly basis and playing the best guys?
I think we've made some strides there. We're still, we spent 90 minutes yesterday. We didn't even practice as a team yesterday. We pretty much spent the full 90 minutes with two different groups on individual development and trying to work with guys, get a lot of shooting done. And so we've tried, Ben. We've tried to do that. Again, you just said it, but you're trying to work on guys individually plus team-wise, trying to package it all up to try to win games at the same time. But you've got a ton of young guys on this team, and I think a lot of these guys are going to continue as the years progress to get better.
Did Dan say anything about that when you took over, about player development versus winning? And did he have any thoughts on that as far as what he wanted you to do with this team and these young players, or was that
I don't remember specifically what Dan said, but what we've tried to do as a staff is, again, just work with these pour everything into them individually, so we have tried to work on the individual, and then at the same time try to do the best we can in terms of winning games. But we are incredibly young. We just don't have a lot of experience on this team. We just don't.
In what ways have you seen the guys grow up, at least during this season, knowing that, you guys only have 3 weeks of the regular season left, so they've got at least a little bit of experience at this point?
I think we've made some strides, but they've been kind of inconsistent at times. I think defensively we were really making incredible strides, and then in 3 of the last 4 games we've kind of reverted back some on the defensive end. So I think it's been a little up and down in terms of some of that. But again, I've said it a lot of times, the guys have been great. They bought into what we're trying to do. They practiced hard. Their spirit's been good. But again, we haven't won as much as they would have wanted to win, or I've wanted to win to this point. But hopefully we can change some of that this week.
Making a push for that top 4 seed. How important is this 3-game homestand and kind of protecting the home court?
Well, it's important. It's important. If you look at our first 7 or 8 games in the league, I thought we did some good things. We had some good wins, some bad, maybe some losses that we maybe didn't expect. But I thought the Colorado loss here in Pauley hurt us, and certainly the Utah loss here at home didn't help us the way we lost that late. So these next 2 at Pauley, then the game next week against Southern Cal, these are 3 important games for us if we've got any chance of having a chance at that last spot.
You've talked a little bit. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. David Singleton, and continuing to get him more minutes, and where is he with you as terms of a guy who could, has played well enough to start, but certainly is a young guy, and kind of what's your take on that?
That's a good question. I think his minutes are climbing a little bit as we speak, but a lot of that depends on, and I've just been meeting with some guys individually, a lot of that depends on Chris Wilkes and how he's playing, and Jalen Hands and how he's playing, and Prince Ali and how he's playing. Assuming those guys are playing well, then it probably keeps his minutes maybe around where they're at. But David's minutes have started to climb a little bit, and he's a very, very smart player, a very safe player. Never turns it over, so he's very low risk, very solid, very consistent. In fact, we want him to, reckless is maybe a bad word, but I want him to play with a little more reckless abandon because he's very safe. He can be robotic at times, very safe at times. Sometimes he needs to play with a little more wild energy to him, and I think it would help him. But he's incredibly smart, probably the hardest worker on our team. He's always in the gym. He's one of those guys you've got to run out of the gym. He's very solid defensively as well, so I think he's helped us there. But so I think he's getting better and better.
How did you like
Last
the way
question.
Prince responded? I know you met with him before the game the other day. How did you like the way he responded?
He needs to play better. He needs to play better. And since the first day I got here, I've been a big Prince Ali fan. He and I hit it off from day one, and I started calling him my guy. And so I kept, saying, hey, you're my guy. So he and I have got a great relationship. Now, with that being said, I've got to see some very sudden improvement out of him in terms of what he's doing. But if you really look at the body of work in Pac-12 play, he's played pretty darn well. Unfortunately, over the last 5 games, he hadn't played really well. But so we'll see. We'll see what we get out of him this week. But for him to continue to get the same amount of minutes, he's got to perform better. I think he'd tell you that too. He's got to perform a little bit better than he probably has the last 4 or 5 games. Yeah. All right.